Hello and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. And today we're going to be taking another look at the Zealot. And I have a big list of meta builds for you. Ooh, isn't that exciting? So let's get straight into it, shall we? So the first build we're looking at is the Heavy Sword. So as you can see here, it's being built with Headtaker, Rampage, and Flak Armor. And for the final perk, Carapace is okay. Probably want to go with Maniac, but I'm just using what I've got. So Maniac, Flak, Headtaker, Rampage. And this thing is an absolute lawnmower. All you really have to remember with this, before we get into the build, is as you can see, I'm using the charge. And your most devastating attack on this is the charge forward and downward heavy attack. Obviously, it works better when you've got Headtaker and Rampage going, but that is your most devastating attack with this. Especially if you can aim it properly, which I can't this evening. So let's take a look. So as you can see, heavy sword, ranged weapon. I'm currently using the las pistol. I find this works really, really well, especially the way it's built with Dum Dum, Infernus, Maniac damage, and specialists. Of course, you can drop off specialists for Flak as well, but this is literally what I've been using with every single build recently. But I will go through a couple of other options. So there's the heavy las pistol. You can also use a braced auto gun. I have the Agrippina version. You can also use the Columnus Mark V. I think it's the Mark V. Whatever the Columnus brace auto gun is. And generally with these perks and blessings, Fire Frenzy, Death Spitter, Maniac, Flak, or Carapace. And you can also use the Agrippina quick draw stub revolver. And you want blessings, you want hand cannon and surgical. And you can also use the Zerona, which is the non-fanning attack one, which is aim down sights. Again, Maniac, surgical, hand cannon. Or if you really want to go old school, you can use a flamer with it. But I tend to stick with the pistols these days, as they just give you a lot more nuance within your toolkit. You know, you use your pistol for sniping stuff that's too far away. Snipers, heavy gunners, and the like. And for the Curos, I'm using 3 health Curos with toughness, max health, and toughness regeneration. Mostly because the toughness is pointless on the Zealot, really. If you stack loads of health, you'll be fine, unless you're using the Martyr build and, of course, stack wounds, but I never use that build because I don't like it. But let's get into the talents. So, this is the heavy sword build. We're grabbing 2 points in the middle here, Anointed in Blood and Purge the Unclean. This is going to give you base damage if you're ranged, the further they are away, which helps you snipe snipers and heavy gunners. And Purge the Unclean is going to be giving you increased damage against infested and unyielding boss damage, basically. And we're coming all the way down here into the Stun Storm Grenade to give you some flexibility on the battlefield, lets you stun things, lets you move, lets you help save teammates. Grabbing all 3 points through here. And then we're coming down here, grabbing Duelist into Benediction, into Fury of the Faithful, grabbing the double charge. We're picking up Faithful Frenzy and the extra health boost down here. And then we're going all the way through here, picking up Inoctral Judgment and all of the abilities. This is going to make you very quick on your feet and just give you a lot of attack speed and damage. So there you go, see one more look at it. If you really wanted to, you can dump out this point over here and stick it in something like Punishment. Backstabber's not great, but I mean, you could stick it in something. I mean, you could even go for 2 more wounds if you really wanted to. But yeah, I mean, you don't need the toughness damage reduction. If you wanted to, you could go for 2 more wounds or into Martyr's Purpose. Right, so the next build. And the next build is a chain axe build. Not many people use the chain axe, which is strange because the new chain axe is absolutely amazing. And this is how I build it. Specialist with Maniac, Slaughter, and Headtaker. This thing's an absolute beast. Sorry, it's really late here. It is a kind of an in-between of the Heavy Sword and the Eviscerator. And it's very quick to use, has insane damage on it, and gives you a lot of very good horde clear. And also it's got the special on it to help you grind through those tougher monsters. As you can see, this is on Damnation as always, and it makes pretty quick work of everything. And even if you're caught in a horde, you can literally just light attack your way through it. So it's got the single target with the special for dealing with anything scary, and then it's got its quick attacks for just clearing through. Again, this is a charge build, but we're going slightly different with it. So, as you can see here, we're going down into Backstabber, into Scourge, down into Enduring Faith, then down the middle here to pick up Purge the Unclean, and then back over to the left, going down the normal route into Faith of the Fury of the Faithful, sorry, down into Blazing Piety for that extra lovely crit. And we're going to be using crit because we're playing with Scourge. Melee crits apply bleed, causing damage over time. Melee hits on bleeding enemies grant 10% critical strike chance for 3 seconds, stacks 3 times, 30% crit, more bleeds. Yum, yum, yum. Pretty simple build. I'm using the exact same curios as I did for the other one. Still using the heavy las pistol because I'm really enjoying it. But of course, this build is not dependent on your ranged weapon. Use whichever one you are more comfortable using. I would highly suggest either the heavy las pistol or the original stub revolver. Or if you really wanted to, you could go for a braced autogun. I'd prefer my ranged weapon to be complementing my toolkit, not doing something else that my melee weapon can already do. Which is why I always go for a pistol, because it allows me to snipe and be quite accurate when I do need to use it. Otherwise, you know, I don't need another horde clear weapon when my melee weapon does it for me. But you could play differently. So there you go. That is the Chain Axe build. As I said, same curios. And next up, we have a knife build. And this is something you haven't seen me play very often on this channel because I didn't like it. And then recently I've kind of been making myself use it. And it has just it made me fall in love with it again. It's made me feel like I'm playing Carillion Shade. So as you can see, we're using the Mark III Combat Blade. If you really, you'd want Flak or Carapace instead of Infested, but you do want the crit chance, and you want Mercy Killer and Uncanny Strikes. Again, same ranged weapon. Use whichever one you're more comfortable with. And the health curios. But the talents, not something you've seen me use before. So, as you can see, we're grabbing the first 2 points in the middle here to get down to Purge the Unclean. This is a very powerful talent for the Zealot. It's pretty much an auto pick most of the time. And then we're coming over here, picking up Scourge, which is one of our most important talents. Picking up Second Wind and Enduring Faith. Blades of Faith. Pretty good for sniping down a running special. Once they've done their naughtiness, they usually run off. If you can't manage to catch up to him, throw a knife at him. This will take down anything up to a Mauler. Won't do much to Maulers or flak armoured rages, but anything else, you'll drop pretty quickly. And then we're going to be picking up Duelist and Until Death. And then we're coming back over here to pick up Dance of Death, Thy Wrath Be Swift, into Good Balance, Ambuscade, Loner, and into Shroudfield. This is going to be our biggest ability because we want to be popping it in and out of stealth all the time to get that ability. So with this, we're also picking up Mastercrafted Shroudfield to increase the duration, and Invigorating Revelation to replenish toughness, and also gain 20% damage reduction. Don't really care about the toughness too much. Damage reduction is really nice. And maybe coming down the bottom here into Sustained Assault, Pious Cutthroat, Innoxious Judgment, and picking up both purple nodes. So as I said, this is very much a Carillion Shade build. You'll be running around very, very quickly because of Innoxious Judgment, and when you need to, you pop in and out of stealth, hit stuff in the back as much as you can, lay down those bleeds on them. You won't always have the big crits, but as you see, when they do crit, it's quite high. And also, the Shroudful does regenerate pretty quickly. And with Uncanny Strikes, you'll be getting an increasing damage buff to yourself. So a couple of swings and you're in. And as you can see, with the Thrain Daggers, don't do too badly on Flak. Let's just go to the Carapace. Basically nothing on Carapace. But if you need to, you can pretty much drop anything, as long as your aim's kind of on point. And do remember, they do... can't pick those up, but in-game they do regenerate through grenades and through ammo tins, but don't steal all the ammo tins. The rest of the team won't be happy with you. But yeah, it's a fun little build, and if you miss playing Cerulean as the Shade, this is very much the build for you. But if you're not a fan of the stealth in and out kind of gameplay, and you want something more like a brawler, this is the knife build for you. So as you can see, we're using a different knife this time. I would say Unyielding is actually really good on this. It does help with boss damage and with crushers and whatnot, but you always want to have the crit. The crit is very, very important. But we are going with Flesh Tear and Lacerate instead of Mercy Killer and Uncanny Strikes. These two pair together really, really, really nicely. And I say it's a brawler build because you're not having to aim for the head like the last one. The last one is very, very much weak spot orientated, as you can see with the talents. 60% weak spot damage, enemies with bleed stacks, Uncanny Strike, rending on enemy weak spot hit. But this, you just go in slashing. You just keep slashing until everything's dead. Flesh Terror, 8 bleed stacks on critical hit, and Lacerate, 4 bleed stacks on non-weak spot hit. So you're just hitting for the body as much as you can. And this is how we build it. We're still taking everything here on the right, Backstabber into Scourge, down into Enduring Faith. But we're going down the middle this time for Anointed in Blood, Purge the Unclean, Restoring Faith, and we're picking up the Immolation Grenade. So we're taking this because this is a frontliner brawler build. We want everything in the toolkit to complement each other. So we've got the knife for doing our main dirty work. We've got the pistol for having to snipe elites. And now we've got the Immolation Grenade to be dealing with those massive hordes or very large groups of gunners. Because when you're playing Damnation and the higher difficulties, giant gunner spawns are very common. And if they're standing around pinning you down, you can't get over to them, you don't have stealth, so charging in is not a good idea. Toss a grenade. It will kill most of them very quickly, and it also give you a few seconds to reposition. So that's why I like the Immolation Grenade, and I try to take it wherever I can. It's a very good addition to your toolkit. But then we come over here, grabbing the melee damage, down into Benediction, grabbing Fury of the Faithful. And because this is such a crit-centric build, we're not taking Nocturnal Judgment. I have tried it with Nocturnal Judgment, but it actually works a lot better with Blazing Piety, because we want the crit. And as you can see, we've taken all 3 nodes in the middle for Sustained Assault, Faithful Frenzy for the attack speed, and all the way down here. And this build is incredibly fun to use. It's very fast, and you would think without Inoctral Judgment you'd feel quite slow. But with this setup, you're still very quick on your feet, and you're still aiming to get around behind things, because obviously, you know, you've got Backstabber and all of this, but it's not completely dependent on it, and nor is having pinpoint accuracy to hit the weak spots at all times, because if you don't, then all of your buffs will drop off. With this, it just requires you to crit. And as Fury of the Faithful gives you a guaranteed crit every time you charge, and this is off cooldown all of the time, because melee crits hits reduce your combat ability, and with the amount of crit in this build, we're basically cycling through cooldown on this continuously. So you'll be charging all of the time, guaranteeing crits, guaranteeing cooldown, guaranteeing bleeds, and that's just, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So once you start going in combat, you will keep going, and it's just a very fun build that I really like playing with. And as for the Curios, again, still using just full health with a small amount of toughness. I mean, you could roll the toughness off for damage resistant gunners if you wanted to be a little bit safer, but I generally just roll this. I mean, I play in all difficulties with very little problem. Occasionally a gunner pack will absolutely shred you, but even with the damage reduction, they'll probably do that anyway. Right, so that's build number 4, and for the very last one, it is a classic Eviscerator build. Now, I'm still missing tier 4 shred, which irks me greatly. I did manage to find a rampage, but no shred yet. Where's that? There it is. So as you can see, this is basically exactly how we want it rolled, just with better blessings. Maniac, Flak, Shred, and Rampage. Full damage. It's just your classic Zealot build, really. You charge it up when you want to kill armor. And let's see if I can actually do the trick. So if you can time it properly, if you rev your chainsword, then charge, every single hit from the attack should crit. So you basically need to do it almost simultaneously, but always rev first, then charge, and drop the attack. And every single bite from the blade should be a critical hit. Doesn't always work though. So, as you can see, this is what we're using. We're using the newer Eviscerator because the attack pattern is a lot better than the old one. And I'm just going to quickly demonstrate why. You've probably seen it in other videos, but in case you haven't, every light attack is just a big sweeping attack for just hoovering through those hordes. And when you do need to kill something hard, every heavy attack is an overhead from one angle or another. So this is basically like the Executioner Sword in Vermintide 2, but swapped. Because the Executioner Sword... No, it's not actually. It's not swapped. I'm going insane. It's basically the Executioner Sword from Vermintide 2. There you go. And we're going to quickly go through the talents, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to surprise you, because it's generally how it just works the best, really. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could dump out a point somewhere, like Enduring Faith, and put it into Disdain, but I wouldn't. So, as you can see, Backstabber into Scourge for bleeds and crit, and more bleeds and more crit. Enduring Faith, and straight down the middle for Anointed in Blood, into Purge the Unclean, into Immolation Grenade. We're grabbing Duelist, and both Until Death and Holy Revenant, into Benediction, into Charge, into Double Charge. And then we're grabbing all 3 nodes here because they're great. And we're going down into Blazing Piety. And this is just a very strong but very vanilla Eviscerator build. But it works very, very, very well. And this is the one I tend to go back to quite a lot because it's just fun. So, there you have it. 4 meta builds, I can quite happily say they are, because it's generally what the meta is running. And I haven't got a hammer build for you because I don't like them. They're not very good. They're very good at doing one specific thing, which is bursting monstrosities and bosses. Other than that, But yeah, there you go. I do hope you enjoy it, folks. And if you have, please like, subscribe, ring that little bell for notifications. It really does help us out. And if you fancy it, check out the membership. It gives you access to the membership Discord, gives you early access to a lot of videos, and it enters you into our monthly prize draw, where you can win some lovely, lovely Warhammer products. So, again, thank you very much for watching. I shall catch you next time. Take it easy. See you later.